After it was looking like it was unstoppable to beat Lewis Hamilton after 3 incredible rounds of the 2019 Formula One season, his lead at the World Championship has finally come to an end as Valtteri Bottas takes the lead of the Formula One World Championship with 87 crucial points, 1 point over his championship leader and teammate Lewis Hamilton. He did an incredible race today, Valtteri Bottas, taking pole position yesterday, his 8th in his career, and of course his 5th Formula One victory, his 2nd of the season, obviously after winning in Albert Park in Australia, the first race, to take a great win at the Baku City Street Circuit. So obviously, welcome back to the F1 Debate Show. This is the review of round 4, race 1001, obviously the 2019 Azerbaijan Grand Prix. A thrilling race in Azerbaijan. Well, kind of. It started with some big problems, and I'm just going to quickly mention them before we get into the race day. Now, I'm going to start by talking about Friday. Now, see, Friday, FP1, FP2, nothing much big happens there. Just the cars, just the teams testing out what they can do. But a lot of drivers going into the wall, making mistakes. There was a lot of dust around the circuit. But the big problem was the drain covers, the manhole covers, which were a big problem on the street circuit. There's estimated around 300 of them around the Baku street circuit, and a few of them were getting kicked up, and the biggest one was George Russell. Now, obviously, this was on the second main straight, just coming between turn 3 and turn 4, the second DRS zone. So he was coming down there, and because of the suction of the cars, it hit a manhole cover from the chassis. This made massive problems to George Russell's car. He had to retire from FP1, that was cancelled. He didn't take part in FP2. He struggled in FP3, just getting the car out for qualifying and the race. Hundreds of £1,000s worth of damage, and it was a big problem for them. So as I say, FP1 was cancelled, while the Baku Street Circuit had to look into all of these manhole covers that needed to be fixed. We see problems around that around Monaco, but Monaco has been used for over 70 years in Formula One, so they're kind of used to it. Baku is not, it's only the 4th race, so it was definitely a problem that they really needed to fix. So that was a big problem for Friday. Another big problem, not from the circuit, but from what the drivers made of it, was the problems that we had on Saturday during qualifying. Now, 2 big drivers went into the wall at exactly the same place, heading up to the castle section, which is the tightest corner at the street circuit, just over 4 metres wide going uphill. The castle section, which has caught many drivers out in the past, but normally from low ranks. We don't really see that in Formula One very much, and we saw it from 2 drivers, kind of both in different spectacles. Firstly, we saw it from George Russell, experienced guy, old, he's been in Formula One before, driving in a Williams, which is not very fast. He brought out the red flag in Q1. Then in Q2, we saw a crash in exactly the same place from Charles Leclerc. Young guy from Ferrari, so it was very much a kind of a very much different crash from those 2. So that brought out the red flag in 2 different times. There's around an hour and a half of waiting before we finally got on to qualify to a good Q3, where, as I say, Valtteri Bottas took pole position over Lewis Hamilton, and 3rd place Ferrari driver Sebastian Vettel. Charles Leclerc didn't take part in Q3 because of his crash, and yes, Robert Kubica didn't. He had to change his car, also the setup, and he started from the pit lane. So there was 3 drivers that started from the pit lane, and it was all set for a big race today. So, and obviously that's what we got. So it all kicked off with Valtteri Bottas making the start against Lewis Hamilton. He just managed to battle him into the first corner, but I do think that Valtteri Bottas managed to stay ahead of him, even though Lewis Hamilton was showing tremendous pace, battling Valtteri Bottas into corner 1 and indeed lap 1. Sebastian Vettel managed to stay behind of the carnage, and so did Max Verstappen. But the big thing for me on the start grid was Sergio Perez. Now, with Daniel Ricciardo. Now, he managed to make up some big positions at the start. I think he jumped Sergio Perez, making some good gains from his 10th place where he started on the grid. Charles Leclerc did struggle from where he started on the grid, but ultimately he managed to claw back through the race, obviously finishing 5th place how he did. So I'm just going to run quickly through the permutations of the race. So, as I say there, Valtteri Bottas has taken the win for Finland, for Mercedes, for himself, and he takes the lead of the World Championship. So fantastic from him. I love it when he wins. Also, just quickly to mention, on me, I said that Valtteri Bottas was going to win the race, and yes, he did, which I thought was great, so I got that right. Thank you very much, fans. Just joking. 2nd place was Lewis Hamilton. Again, I got that right. Said Lewis Hamilton was going to finish in 2nd place. Sebastian Vettel third, I didn't say that, I said a Ferrari driver, so I kind of get half a point, I guess, and I don't really. But Sebastian Vettel, just okay race from him. He has been under a lot of controversy. We have talked about him before. It was interesting how to see what he was going to do with this race. Very consistent from him. He started third, finished third. So really, as I say, nothing big to change on his side. Fourth place, Max Verstappen. Now, he did have a problem that he said through the race. He said he had an engine brake problem. So basically, when he's pressing the pedal, nothing was really happening. But again, that wasn't... I don't think it was really a big problem. It got fixed in the next few laps, especially when he pitted for the first time. Charles Leclerc in fifth place. Great battling from him. He started very low down. I think it was 8th place that he started after Pierre Gasly was started from the pit lane. Great from him. And yeah, I wanted him to finish in 3rd place. Just quickly on him, he also got the fastest lap on the last lap. I'd had to turn off to record just before the final lap, so it might have changed. Apologies if it has, but yes, from what I saw on lap 51 is that he got the fastest lap, so that's great from him. Extra point, which is fantastic, especially now where he is in the championship battling Sebastian Vettel, because he will have got, I think it's 10 points from 5th, when obviously Sebastian will have got 15 from his 3rd place. 6th place, and my driver of the day is Sergio Perez, Checo, from Racing Point. Now, there was quite a few people to decide who to give driver of the day to, but I went with Sergio Perez. Great where he started on the grid, obviously one position lower than where he started on the grid, obviously where he finished, started 5th, finished 6th, but still, nevertheless, very good from him. He was battling Max Verstappen in the first few laps. I do believe that he was in front at one point, which was great from him. Racing Point, obviously new team, new name, great driver. Sergio Perez is fantastic. They said he was immovable object or something like that. Like an object that you just can't move. And he really, really was. He's fantastic to see. Carlos Sainz in 7th place. McLaren, fantastic from them. 8th place, Lando Norris, really incredible from them. They're my team of the weekend, for sure. Maybe not too much noise in the race, but team of the weekend, for sure, they're fantastic. Lando, one of the best drivers I'm seeing at the moment. 19 years old, that's incredible. 9th place, Lance Stroll, great for Racing Point. He did get 2nd place here, 2nd or 3rd place last time. Obviously, battling VALTTERI BOTTAS a few years ago, so it's great from him. Obviously, he loves the track. Racing Point, as I say, doing a very good job. He was battling with Pierre Gasly quite a lot in the race. 10th place, and a great drive, I'd probably say co-driver of the day for this guy, is Kimi Räikkönen in 10th place. Fantastic from him. 11th place is Alexander Albon of Toro Rosso. He just missed out on the points, which is really, really unfortunate from him. He got points in China. It would have been great to see him do that again. Yes, some great battles from him in the race, but again, not too much noise. Giovinazzi, good from him, 12th place. 13th place, K-Mag, very good from him. Obviously, the only Haas driver to stay in the race. That's where I am now. Did I say K-Mag? Yes, I did. 14th place, Nico Hülkenberg. He's not the best Renault, but he is the only Renault to finish. So for most of the race, it was looking like he was the one on the back foot, but it did change for him eventually. 15th place, George Russell. 16th place, Robert Kubica, and he was the last guy to be running, so theoretically Williams at the back, not good from them. Retirees, Pierre Gasly, he had an engine failure. Romain Grosjean, Danny Kvyat and Daniel Ricciardo. Now this was a very, very strange crash, which started because, so basically Daniel Ricciardo in the Renault was going into turn 3 after the DRS zone, trying to overtake Daniel Kvyat. He locked up. I think he had some problems with the rear wing. Locked up. Danny Kvyat had nowhere to turn into. They both went down the slip road. This was really incredible, guys. And you need to see this on the replay. It will be shared around. Is that Daniel Ricciardo, he went further into the zone, and Danny Kvyat was actually about to turn on. Obviously, no damage. He was just about to join the race, like normal. Daniel Ricciardo then backs into him, reverses into him, causes problems to the side pod, damage to the side pod for Kvyat. He then has to retire. Terrible for him. I'm so sorry for Kvyat. Especially he's labelled the torpedo, and he crashed, and it's not even his fault. So I do feel very sorry for him. Ricciardo, terrible decision from him. I don't know what was going through his head at that time. Just really, there's no words to say what he did. He retired. Had very disappointed when you saw him walking around the Renault garage. He is normally the guy with the big smile on, and he didn't have the smile on at this point. But I did think that was just made more spicy in the race. Another shout I want to say is the balloons that were seen on the track from about lap 30 to lap 40. I do believe that they were retrieved during the VSC period, but that obviously was very, very funny. They look like Renault balloons as well, which was pointed out on that. So yeah, great. So it did make it an entertaining race. What I would give the race, I'd probably give it about a 7 out of 10. Now that might be quite high for some people, but I did find it quite entertaining. Again, just the swapping of positions, really the normal Formula One permutations, that were going into it, kind of where everyone would. To be honest, that's where I would see everyone finishing in the season, maybe apart from obviously the retirees. But it was, it made it really, really juicy from that. Another shout out I want to say quickly is one of the best commentators ever is David Croft from Sky Sports F1. This was his 250th Grand Prix as a commentator, so well done to him. Congratulations, that was fantastic for him. So he's doing a very good job over there. Obviously, he started back in Australia 2012 with his new and current job, Sky Sports F1. I've watched him all the way through his career. Thought it was amazing, and no offence to Channel 4's commentary, even when it was live, it was never ever as good as David Croft, and it shows because obviously he is on the race, the games, and just worldwide commentary. He even got a cameo, I think it was in like Cars or Planes or something like that, where he played an commentator. So it just shows. But yeah, that's just a quick shout. Obviously, yeah, great from him. Absolutely loved it. So that was my kind of review of the race. Did I say my driver of the day, if you didn't hear before, obviously I said was Sergio Perez. There was a lot of drivers to pick from that. The people that I were considering for that role was Kimi Räikkönen. Fantastic from him. He started from the pit lane, which is really, really unfortunate for him, but he managed to get 10th place, which is really great. He has Antonio Giovinazzi as his teammate at Alfa Romeo, and again, it's a little bit like Max Verstappen and Pierre Gasly. There's a big gap between what Max can do and what Pierre can do. There's a big gap between what Kimi can do and what Antonio can do. And yes, of course, there is a big gap between how experienced Kimi is and how experienced Giovinazzi is. But nevertheless, it is a big gap. And I do believe that Kimi will go on through the season as he is not really an Alfa Romeo driver. You're not going to class him like a bit like how you might class Max as not a Red Bull driver. He's not really he's with the team, but he's not with Pierre at any point. So they were so I think Kimi Räikkönen was definitely up there. Lando Norris for sure, great weekend. Driver team of the week, I would say team of the weekend is definitely McLaren. Quite consistent through the FP sessions, great qualifying session, both into Q3, both into top 10 position starts. Especially for Lando Norris, and yeah, obviously bunching into the top 10 for this race. Really incredible from them, and yeah, absolutely fantastic. Carlos had a great race, great redemption from him, so I thought that was fantastic. So yes, as I say, so that just ended my review. Yes, Bottas taking the World Championship lead over Lewis Hamilton, which I think is great. Lewis Hamilton is in second place, obviously trailing is Max Verstappen, a long way behind in third position. He had a good race this race, but he is still trailing. And yes, normally after that it's Vettel, Leclerc, everyone who needs to catch him. And the big creeper upper is Pierre Gasly. He DNF'd from this race, but he is definitely getting there in the championship. So that is my review. I'm just going to quickly read out Jordan's, as I say. So we take it in turns to review the races. We did that from Australia. So for next round 5, which is the Spanish Grand Prix, Jordan will be reviewing that race. And obviously I will send him my source. So this is Jordan's, what he sent to me. Redemption day for Valtteri Bottas. He should have won here last year, but he didn't. Of course I believe that. He went over some debris from last year. I think it was of the Red Bulls. Got a puncture. It was unbelievably heartbreaking for everyone to see that. Even if you weren't a Mercedes fan, even if you were a Ferrari fan, I think it was horrible. Yes, he drove brilliantly despite the pressure from Lewis. Expected more from this race, to be honest. He expected it to be more exciting. Driver of the day, Valtteri Bottas. Now, I don't always give the driver of the day to the race winner, but for sure this weekend was incredible for him. Valtteri Bottas, through all of the problems yesterday, the almost 2-hour session to get pole position over Lewis Hamilton, the championship leader, which is incredible. Race rating 5 out of 10. So Jordan's obviously not saying that it was an exciting race. Honourable mentions, Max Verstappen, kind of agree with that, and 2 McLaren's, definitely agree with that. I think they did a really, really good job. Great start from Bottas. Hamilton almost had him. A close call from Bottas when he got squeezed out by Lewis. Yes, going into turn 1, Bottas had to commit to the outside, which is very, very close to the wall. I was saying that when I was watching the race, you have to really commit around Baku or it's just going to eat you alive. But what they had seen in Saturday, getting close to the wall is not good. It could be quite detrimental. Where am I? Great start from Perez, getting the jump on Max Verstappen. Again, couldn't agree more, Jordan. I think that's probably why I gave Sergio Perez my driver of the day. The slipstream helping young Charles. Definitely. He made some great overtakes on the McLaren and finally the Red Bull of Verstappen on lap 10. I remember watching that, and again, I'm a Verstappen fan. Red Bulls are very fast around the corners. So again, the stop-start, very tight corner circuit of Baku is definitely going to help the Red Bulls. But on a straight line, Ferrari's definitely got the pace. I don't know if that's Red Bull having or Ferrari have, but it's maybe a mixture of the two. No team orders and Ferrari are in the mix. Yes, obviously less team orders from China. Not much drama at the start. However, it was exciting to see the strategy unfold from the top teams. So it was two Red Bulls and 2 Mercedes and 2 Ferraris. Hamilton was pitted first for Mercedes. Sebastian Vettel was pitted first for Ferrari. Charles Leclerc obviously doing a reverse from where he did, so he spent most of the race on the yellow marked tyres, which is the mediums. He stayed out for 35 laps and he was pitted right at the end. He took the lead, but then Valtteri Bottas claimed him back on his new tyres. So yes, obviously that was very interesting to see. Surprised there were 20 cars running on lap 20. Oh, we shouldn't have said that. There was a commentator's curse, apparently, when I think they said that on about lap 18. Danny Rick doing what any new driver would have done, reversed into an object. It wasn't an object, Jordan. It was Danny Fiat, probably a big object with a driver in the car. It was absolutely insane to see. Most drama we've ever had in this race so far on lap 32. Leclerc getting bombarded by the Ferrari drivers, definitely. So Leclerc was losing time in his tyres. He was losing grip in his tyres. He'd been on there, as I say, for 35 laps. Bottas was told on the team radio to bunch up behind Leclerc, and basically he was slowing the pack down. So that was a big thing. He was really bombarded by the drivers who were behind. Ferrari should have pitted him earlier. I agree with that. Yes, Daniel Ricciardo does retire. Third retirement in 4 races. He's retired from Australia. He's retired from Bahrain. He finished the race in China and he retired in Azerbaijan, so it's not a great start for the smiling Australian. Another DNF for Gasly. That was really, really unfortunate. Nothing really to say about that. This guy isn't having a good start to the season. Let's hope the European races are better for him. First DNF of the season. Yes, really just unfortunate for him, obviously, especially after he's not really performing like Max should have been, like Max has, his teammate. But he scored points in China, which is great for the Frenchman. Ferrari came into the weekend with pace, leave with nothing once again. Ferrari have the pace, like we were saying on the Sebastian Vettel video. Ferrari have the pace. Ferrari are very fast. Jordan always says that they have a better car than Mercedes. I don't know if I agree with that, but I'll definitely say that they do have a very strong package. But, for things like strategy, tyres, they always just mess it up. And again, I think Mercedes, they're on it with the tyres, they're on it with the strategies. And to be honest, they do have at the moment the better drivers, both of them, Hamilton and Bottas. But obviously, hopefully they can battle the Mercedes obviously through the season. Mercedes have this in the bag, I'm afraid. Great win for Valtteri Bottas. Fantastic for him. That's his 5th race win of his career. Fantastic for him. As I say, 8th pole position yesterday was really incredible from that. So yes, he is fantastic. Takes the lead of the World Championship. I get 2 of them right in my permutations. I think Jordan probably got them right as well, but in the wrong order. I think he said Lewis Hamilton was going to win this race. Sebastian Vettel finishes in 3rd place. I said Leclerc. And yes, it's just the other Ferrari driver. Great drive from Leclerc though. If he started higher up, I think that he might have been on the podium. And again, if Ferrari favoured him in the strategy. But it was an entertaining race to watch nevertheless. And yes, there's nothing else to say, but Mercedes did have it in the bag. And they go into the European season with a massive lead in the constructors and a massive lead in the drivers. Two drivers are running away with it, both 87 and 86 points, separated by 1 point. It could have been 2 if Bottas got the fastest lap point. If Hamilton got it, it could have been square going into Spain, so that would have made it even more juicier. And everyone else, Verstappen and co, they all are waiting behind, parked up, you know, in first gear, ready to hopefully pounce when the Mercedes make an error, but I don't think that is going to happen for the rest of the season. So anyway, that is the end of the review. Thank you very much for watching. We have a new target here on the F1 Debate Show, and that is to reach 550 subscribers by the British Grand Prix, which is round 10. So you have about a month and a half for us to hopefully reach that goal. Me and Jordan are both going to that race. We're hoping to try and make a video every single day, so that's going to be really, really special. We hope to see some of you guys there to be more interactive heading into the home of Formula One. And yes, we are 24 subscribers at current time away from that. Hopefully we can get to 550, and yes, we would absolutely love that for you to do that. So, you know, if you have subscribed, thank you very much. If you're new around here, please hit that subscribe button and let's try and get to our target. So obviously, thank you very much for watching. Obviously, we hope you can stay tuned with us for the rest of the season. So the next race is around 5 and 2 weeks time, the Spanish Grand Prix, the European season, and as I've said many, many times, we are really in the thick of it. So obviously, thank you very much for watching this episode, guys, and until next time, we'll see you later.